Hi everyone, I want to talk to you about interaction today and a way of interacting that is so much more fun and so much more efficient than the normal and regular way of interacting we have today. And this is a way that also has the potential of actually automatically putting us on a path where we start solving most of our problems, even the large problems, even the existential types of problems where we are at the risk of extinguishing ourselves and others in the process from Earth. So right now we have this ability to achieve this because of technology, right? So technology has made it possible for us to impact the world in ways in which it has not been possible before. Yes, there's more of us, but we are using the technology, and it is the technology that is making it possible for us to faster and faster saw off the branch that we are sitting on in a tree, and the saw that we're using to saw this branch off is ever improved, faster and better. So this is the process that we're kind of in. But the question is then, why are we doing this? Why are we using technology in this way? Because it's not really the technology that does it, it's the people who employ it. And why are we employing it that way? What is it that makes us do it? Because we kind of know that it's not good for us, and yet we still do it. Right now we have systems that are set up, that are very big, have inertia of their own, that are working to optimize and solve their problems. They optimize mostly for money at this stage, and so they are working to solve that problem, get more money, and they are not necessarily caring about other things that may be even more important to us. And this is a goal-oriented type of system. I call this system a competitive type of system, where you compete. Now this works really well when you are an animal and you are not a human being who has already developed a lot of technology. So for animals who are developing with evolution and through evolution mainly, and are not developing other ways, like evolving through technology, becoming cyborgs who have access to all kinds of information. So for animals who are not humans and have not developed this kind of technology, this works well. You can actually work within that system and it works well. But as soon as you have the superpower of technology, you also get to have have to develop your superpower of wisdom and heart. And so this is what I would like to talk to you about. The two different ways of being. So to start with, let's take a look at how our systems actually work. How this competitive mindset works, what it leads to. We live in it, so we kind of know about it. But it's good to point it out because a lot of the time we're not aware of any alternatives, and so we're just living in it and we're saying, well, this is it. Life is a struggle, no pain, no gain. This is just life. I know it. I've lived here for a long time and I can prove it to you. And so we continue and we stay within the same system, but there are alternatives. So let's take a look at the system that we're in right now. So this is a system that is role-based, where you identify with the role that you're playing. It is an ego-centered type of system. So your ego is at the center, and your ego identifies with your ideas, your roles that you're playing. Who are you? I am a person who believes in X, so X is essential to me, and I will fight for X, because without X, I don't know who I am. And so this is also very much in line with a fixed mindset, if you know the work of Carolyn Dweck. So it's a mindset where you believe that you are a particular type of person, being, personality. You have your set skills, maybe, or set talents. You might see yourself as intelligent. I'm a smart person, or I'm a strong person, or I'm a beautiful person, or whatever it is. You have your particular way of looking at yourself, and this is you. And now the competitive mindset is more than just the fixed mindset. It is prone to the fixed mindset, but it is more. There's also competition. So in competition, you compete pretty much against everyone. But you unite whenever you have a common goal. So this is a goal-oriented system. So whenever you have a goal, you unite and collaborate with other people in order to achieve that goal. But actually, even within that group where you are collaborating, very often you will still be competing against the other people within that group, because you will want to look a little bit better than they do, because this is a system that is based on the pyramid of power, where you have most power at the top, and then you have a little bit less power and a little bit less, and you have most people at the bottom. And so when you are within a system like that, you feel pretty powerless at the bottom, so you want to move up. And information is processed by, at the top, the leaders, in order to be able to organize. This, in the past, has been the only way people have been able to think of organizing, really, when it comes to larger groups. So you have the leaders at the top, and the leaders will give you information that is goal-oriented. So they will be spreading information through the group that will lead to accomplishing a particular goal. So they will not be spreading necessarily what is the highest truth. They will be spreading what is the most efficient information we can spread in order for our group to achieve its goal. Maybe you're fighting another group. So you have information that is spread from the top, and the role of the people within that system is to first judge who is actually spreading this information, where is it coming from. If it comes from the top or from your friends, your group, well, then you repeat it again. But of course, when you repeat it, you will always put a little bit of a spin on it, because you want to make yourself look a little bit better. So there's always going to be added noise to that. So you have that. And if the information doesn't come from someone that you trust in some sense, well, then you might ignore it, or you might fight against it. And if you fight against it, you will be argumenting, and you might win a fight, for instance. If you win a fight, well, then you might be move higher up into the hierarchy where you are. And so in this system, it's very important what you look like. What are you perceived as being? Who are you perceived as being? And so you will always be trying to create an image, and you will be identifying with this image or whatever ego or beliefs that your ego has. So the information within this system has a lot of distortion. And the way of interacting with people is a way that separates you, because you don't really want to open up to another person and say, hey, this is what I really feel. This is what I really find most important in my life. Because if I tell you well, then later on you might use that information against me, and you might really be able to hurt me. So I always have to guard myself and always have to make myself look in particular ways. And so I'm always closing my heart a little bit to others. I'm always sharing information that isn't exactly correct with others. And so this is a system that we basically live in. This is what we see around ourselves. And this system is also something that leads to a lot of struggle. It's a life in struggle. A lot of people these days kind of stay between depression and anger. They become really sad and depressed, and they feel like they don't really have any power. I can't do anything. I don't have any power. I can just repeat information and maybe add some spin to it, but nobody's listening to me. So I can't really do anything. And so you might become pessimistic, depressed, and sad when things around you are not working very well. And you might feel a little bit better. How do you make yourself feel better? Actually, if you're within the system and you can start a fight, that gives you a little bit more energy. Then you're able to actually feel like you're more energized, and you feel like you're right. Maybe you're winning an argument. Maybe you feel like you're winning an argument. And just being angry feels a little bit better than being depressed. So that's actually a positive thing. And then you move back down at some point and you feel a little bit more sad again. And a lot of people oscillate in between here. And it's only when they have little larger wins of some sorts that they move up, and then they feel much better. But then they set another goal to achieve, and they are back into the mode of fighting. So this is a life of struggle, and it is these ideas of no pain, no gain, and just struggling along. Life is a struggle are very typical in this mindset. So this is one mindset. It's not the only one. Of course, there are more interesting ones. And what I'd like to focus on is the one where everybody wins. So this is not the win-lose situation, the ego-centered reality that we're living in, you could say. It's not really a reality, but you could say. So instead, if you move into the kind of spiraling all-win situation, where at each step everybody wins, everybody feels better. How does that work? How do you interact in an all-win way? So let's say you get information from someone. How do you process it? So remember, in the old way, you process it by judging the other person. Hey, who are you to say this? I don't think I believe you. Or I do believe you. So judgment is the first. Now, in this new way, what you do is the first thing you do whenever you're getting new information in is you look, oh, what actually can I understand? What can I actually understand in what you're saying? What is the key message that I'm getting? What do I resonate with? What actually kind of makes sense in what you're saying? What is the essence? Where can we connect? That's the point. What is the point of our connection when it comes to this particular type of information? Because that way we create a common platform from which we then can move on. Okay, so we have this common platform. What now? Oh, and now I repeat it back to the other person, or you repeat it back to the other person and say, oh, so you mean this is the central key, that like this is the idea? And the person says, oh yes, this is exactly it. And this is the kind of theater, sport, improv type of technique where you always say yes and. So you say yes to the information that makes sense. You remove all the noise, all the other things that are not really making sense to you right now yet, maybe. But so you focus on what makes sense and you give it back, and then you add, oh, and did you know, like this, I have built a bridge to this other place. So from here, you can actually very easily go to this other place, and all of these things are related. Can you see that? Wow, I can see that. So you're bringing your perspective. When you're showing your perspective, you're adding to the other person, and then they say, wow, I can see that because I can walk to it, because the bridge is the common knowledge that we share, and so I know how to get there now. And then the other person shows you, and this is my perspective. Wow, I had never thought of that, but this makes sense. Awesome. So these worlds are interconnected this way. And then you can add your creativity. Okay, so this idea, what if we were to develop it in this direction? Oh, this is interesting. Hey, I think I know how we can do it. Do you see how all of this is a win-win interaction? You win, the other person wins. You both are winning all the time because you're constructing together and you are on a common ground. So that's the first part. Look for what you have in common and add to it. But add to it in a way that is constructive, where you both can understand and build on it. So if you look at information, and if you were to see people as a filter of information, now in the older system, when information comes in, it's information that already has agendas and noise and such. And then it goes through and it's the same information, it has the same agendas and goals, plus a little bit extra noise. Now within this system, the collaborative system where everybody wins, you have information that's coming in, maybe with some kind of noise, and what is coming out is clear information, clarity regarding everything that you all have in common. So clarity plus new creative solutions that have been added to it. And these are solutions for all, because you're all standing on the same ground. And so from there, you see how you can build so that everybody wins. Okay, and this system also works internally. So see, now it's important not to think of it as, okay, so now I have to act in the way that is best for everyone else. I will have to sacrifice. I will have to give up what I want, because maybe I actually feel that I want this, but everyone else tells me that they want that. So I have to give up. No. See, this is the old way of thinking, and it very easily creeps in, and it can creep in through ethics and saying, no, it's the right thing to say. I have to act in a specific way. I have to sacrifice. No sacrifice. The idea in this system is to create coherence between what you feel and what you think. Create that coherence, and from that coherence you work. Because if you have an internal war going on where you're fighting your emotions, where you're fighting against yourself, that is going to come out and it's not going to work, and you're not going to be happy, and people will perceive that as well, and it's not really part of the new type of system. So it's a coherence between your heart and your mind. So clarity, wisdom, and heart, empathy, being able to connect to yourself and to others. So this is a heart-centered system. It is a system that is like a net instead of being a pyramid, because power is within every person. At every node of the net you have a person, and that person clarifies and adds creativity. So what does that mean? That means that I want everyone to be as free, as much themselves, as creative as they can be. And I want them to have their own perspective, because that is when I will get the most out of it. And they want me to be free to be myself. And how do you organize large groups of people that way? Well, you organize them through systems that we now have access to because of technology. So you don't have to use power anymore, power systems like that. Instead, you can use ideas that come from the wisdom of crowds, where it is essential for the system to have input from diverse, independent, autonomous thinkers in order for it to work really well. So it's possible to technologically start implementing things like these for organization. And this is also a growth mindset type of system, because you don't identify with what you just have learned. You identified with learning. You are infinite. You identify with the infinite potential you have, not with a particular thing that you have learned. I am not X. Maybe today I learn about X. Awesome. Then tomorrow I learn about Y. Funny. Great. But I am neither X nor Y. You identify with infinity and potential. And of course, this is the all-win type of system. So this is the dynamics that I find so much more fun and interesting. And I think it's possible for us to start learning about it, start learning how to apply it within ourselves and between people. Now, it's not easy because we're always going to automatically slip into the old ways of being and thinking. That's normal. That's to be expected. And as we develop compassion, we can develop compassion for ourselves when we do that as well. But I think that this is something that we can all start developing in different ways and applying, and even trying to see what it would be like if you actually had a group of people who were able to work in this way. I also wanted to mention that I have a maybe booklet, you could say a PDF, that contains 24 pictures that I just drew recently these days, and it's around the things that I've been talking about. I had so much fun drawing them, so I think you might have fun looking at them. They're not particularly pretty, but they might be fun to have a look at. So if you enjoyed this talk, you might enjoy the pictures. I'll set a link up somewhere, and hopefully you'll be able to find it. And let me know if you have any thoughts around these ideas. And I'll talk to you in another video.